The desert does not hurry. It has never needed to. In the deep hours of night, when even the busiest cities soften their edges, the sand moves the way a slow tide moves, patient, almost tender, sliding over old stone, old footsteps, old questions, as if it is laying a thin, warm blanket across the face of time. And if you are listening from a place that still hums with schedules and notifications, if your mind has been running like a small engine that refuses to cool, then let the desert teach you something simple tonight. It is allowed to slow down, it is allowed to become quiet. So settle in, just as you are. Let your shoulders loosen by a small degree. Let your jaw unclench without forcing it. If it helps, let your breath become an easy pattern. Inhale gently, and exhale a little longer than the inhale, as if you are letting a day's worth of thoughts drift out through a slightly open window. Tonight, we will walk into ancient Egypt, not with urgency, not with drama, not with the sharp, bright light of curiosity that demands answers right away, but with the soft, golden light of a late museum lamp. The kind of light that makes everything look a little warmer. The kind of light that does not disturb what is sleeping. Imagine this first scene like a quiet film that begins after closing hours. A museum corridor, empty of footsteps. Glass cases resting in their own reflections. A hush that feels like velvet. Somewhere behind those walls, beyond the city and its traffic, the real desert is still breathing, slow, dry, and steady, beneath a sky full of stars that have been looking down for longer than any human worry has existed. And somewhere in that desert, a place called Saqqara waits, not as a spectacle, not as a headline, but as a calm, steady presence on the edge of memory. Saqqara is a wide plateau, a gentle stretch of earth where ancient burial grounds rest like layers of folded cloth. When the sun is up, the light can feel sharp, but at night, the sharpness fades, the sand cools, the air becomes softer, and the stones, those old stones, seem to hold on to warmth the way a cup holds on to tea. Far off, in the dim distance, the silhouette of the step pyramid of Djoser rises like a quiet staircase to the stars. It does not gleam. It does not shout. It simply stands, patient, worn, and dignified, like someone who has seen many ages pass and still has no need to prove anything. If you were here, you might hear only a few sounds, a thin wind brushing across the plateau, the faint shift of sand, and if you listen closely, the small creak of a lamp or a tool as an archaeological team moves carefully through a protected site. Not a crowd, not a rush, just a handful of people working slowly, respectfully, the way you would move in a sleeping house where you do not want to wake anyone, because that is what this place feels like, a sleeping house of history. And tonight we are guests. We do not slam doors. We do not demand. We simply enter with gentleness. In your mind, picture a narrow excavation shaft, the kind that goes down into darkness like a long breath. Around it, the desert floor is quiet. The team's light is warm and yellow, not harsh white. Dust floats through the beam in slow spirals, like tiny stars learning how to dance. There is a moment in archaeology that is less about discovery and more about listening. A moment when the earth seems to say, if you are patient, I will show you. And sometimes what it shows is not a dramatic treasure, but something far more intimate, an untouched seal, a layer of mortar, a closure, a decision made by hands thousands of years ago, and still holding. If you have ever closed a door softly at night, trying not to wake a child or a partner, or even your own tired heart, then you already understand the feeling. A sealed doorway is a kind of promise. It says, "Let this rest." And so when the archaeologists in Saqqara find a burial chamber that is still sealed, they do not shout. They do not celebrate loudly. They lean in. They breathe gently. They let the moment remain what it is, a delicate meeting between now and then. You can almost imagine the sound, not a crack, not a snap, but a subtle shift, like the tiniest sigh of old air moving for the first time in ages. And inside, the chamber is not scary. It's not in the way the mind sometimes expects when it hears words like tomb or mummy. Inside it feels arranged, cared for, intentional. Because the ancient Egyptians, whatever else we say about them, were people who understood the art of preparation. They believed life continued beyond the visible world, and that to care for someone after death was to care for them into a different kind of mourning. So the chamber is like a room made for peace. There may be linen folded carefully. There may be amulets placed with quiet purpose. There may be gold leaf catching the lamp's glow, yet not blinding, not flashy, just a warm shimmer, like late sunlight touching the surface of water. And the person resting there is not introduced to us as a mystery to be solved, but as a human being who once had a pulse, once had mornings, once had small routines, perhaps a favorite food, perhaps a familiar song, perhaps a gentle laugh shared with someone they trusted. In a sleep story, we do not tear history open like a package. We sit beside it, we let it speak softly. So tonight, I will not overload you with names, dates, and measurements. Instead, I will offer you a slower kind of knowing. Who are we with? We are with you, right here, in the calm space between waking and sleep. We are with the desert, older than any calendar. We are with a small team of careful hands and quiet lights. And we are with the unseen presence of ancient Memphis, once a living city near the Nile, where markets and music and prayer moved through daily life, and where sacred stories were carried the way families carry traditions, gently, repetitively, lovingly. What are we doing? We are walking toward a doorway that was sealed on purpose. We are learning how to approach it without fear. We are letting curiosity become soft, like a blanket instead of a spotlight. Where are we? We are on the Saqqara Plateau, not far from the Step Pyramid, in a landscape of limestone dust and distant stars. When are we? We are in two times at once. In the present, this quiet night, your breath, your bed. And in the deep past, thousands of years ago, when a seal was pressed into mortar, and someone decided, this must remain undisturbed. Why does this matter? Because your mind too has doors. Your mind too seals certain rooms, old memories, old worries, old hopes. And perhaps the gentle lesson of Saqqara is this: not every door has to be opened tonight. Some doors exist to protect rest. How will we travel? Slowly, step by step, breath by breath, like descending a staircase in dim light, keeping one hand on the wall, feeling the coolness of stone, letting the body trust the quiet. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Ancient Sleep Story. Here you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now, let us continue. The team lowers a lamp into the shaft. The light spills downward, and the dust follows it like a slow snowfall. The air changes as we approach the entrance, cooler, stiller, as if the underground keeps its own weather. You might notice your own breathing matching that change. Inhale, soft. Exhale, slower. If your thoughts begin to wander, that is fine. Let them wander like sand drifting in a gentle wind. You do not have to chase them. You do not have to hold them. You can simply watch them pass. As we begin our descent, the world above grows distant. The desert's wide silence remains, but it becomes muted, as if we have stepped behind a curtain. Stone steps appear, uneven, ancient, smoothed by time and careful feet. Each step down is an invitation to release something, a task you did not finish, a conversation you replayed, a worry that keeps looping. With every step, imagine placing one small burden on the edge of the staircase, letting it stay there and continuing on without it. Below, the corridor opens. Not grand, not theatrical, just a passage carved with intention. On the walls, the stone is pale. Sometimes it holds faint marks, tiny scratches of human work. Sometimes it holds nothing at all, and that nothingness is its own kind of comfort. There is a reason people often feel calmer underground. The sky is not demanding your attention. The horizon is not calling you to keep going. In an enclosed space, the mind can finally stop scanning the distance. It can rest. And this is where Saqqara becomes more than a place in Egypt. It becomes a metaphor you can carry into your own night, because you are not here to solve ancient mysteries. You are here to borrow ancient stillness. Somewhere further in, beyond one bend of the corridor, another space waits, an underground gallery, long and quiet, where sacred rituals once moved like slow processions. And here, I want to offer you a small seed of gentle curiosity, just enough to glow, not enough to wake you. In the ancient city of Memphis, there was a belief in a sacred bull, Apis, an animal honored as a living sign of divine presence and fertility. When such a bull died, it was mourned, prepared, and carried with care, then placed in underground galleries like these. Cool corridors where stone held the quiet steady, and where grief moved slowly, respectfully, like a candle carried through a dark room. So as we stand at the threshold of these imagined galleries, I want to ask you something, not as a test, not as a demand, but as a soft invitation. If you were to enter the underground tunnels, galleries, where the sacred calf Apis is carried through, what sounds would you want to hear? Footsteps, the rustling of clothing, or just silence? You don't have to answer out loud. You can answer in your mind, or you can leave it in the comments when you feel like it, like leaving a small pebble on a path to say, yes, I was here. And if tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. Now let the corridor extend a little further. Let the light soften. Let the dust drift. We will not rush into secrets. We will approach them like one approaches a sleeping friend, slowly, quietly, with kindness. And just ahead, past another turn, there is a door sealed in mortar, still holding its ancient hush. A time capsule waiting, not to shock us, but to soothe us with the simple truth that time can be gentle. We will reach it in the next part, and when we do, we will place our hand near the cool stone and listen for the oldest kind of quiet. The seal is still there. In the warm, patient beam of the lamp, it looks almost ordinary at first, an uneven layer of pale mortar bridging stone to stone, like dried river mud. Yet the longer you look, the more you can feel what it truly is. A pause that has lasted for thousands of years. No one in this corridor speaks loudly. Even the smallest sounds, breath, fabric, the soft shift of a boot on stone seem to travel farther than they should, as if the underground air is listening. The light rests on the doorway the way moonlight rests on a sleeping face, gently, without insistence. If your own thoughts feel noisy tonight, let this moment be a quiet lesson. Some things become calm not because we force them to be calm, but because we choose to approach them with care. The archaeologists move like people in a library late at night. They lean in, not to conquer the past, but to meet it politely. A hand reaches out, not touching yet, just hovering near the mortar, as if feeling for the temperature of time. You may notice, as you listen, that your breathing has become slower. Or if it hasn't, that's all right too. Just let your exhale lengthen a little, like a long ribbon unspooling in the dark. Inhale, and then exhale, as if you are letting the last sharp corners of the day soften. The seal bears small impressions, not dramatic carvings, not frightening symbols, just the tender marks of human work. A thumbprint, perhaps, a shallow groove where a tool once pressed. The kind of details that make the past feel less like a myth and more like a room someone recently left. And that is the strange comfort of archaeology. It does not always feel like long ago. Sometimes it feels like not too far. A careful tool is chosen, not a loud hammer, not a violent chisel, something small, something precise, something that respects the quiet. A little scraping begins, soft, dry, rhythmic. The sound is almost soothing, like someone brushing sand from a shell. Dust lifts in slow, delicate threads and floats through the light. It does not burst. It does not swirl wildly. It drifts, as if even the dust remembers how to move gently here. In moments like this, the mind can do something it rarely does in modern life. It can focus on one small thing, one tiny movement, one quiet sensation, and if you want, you can join that focus. Imagine your attention narrowing softly, like a candle flame becoming steady. No multitasking, no scrolling, no racing, just this, a sealed doorway, a slow hand, a patient breath. As the mortar loosens, a thin line appears, barely a crack, more like a seam. The lamp's glow slips into it, and the darkness beyond remains calm, not threatening. It feels more like the darkness behind your eyelids when you finally close them and the world becomes quiet. Then, the smallest change. A subtle shift of air, not a gust, not a rush, just a whisper of old coolness, like a room exhaling after holding its breath for a very long time. If you have ever opened a box of old letters or a drawer that hasn't been touched in years, you may know that scent, dry, faintly sweet, like paper and dust and time. The underground carries something similar, except deeper, calmer, more mineral, like stone that has been storing silence. No one rushes in. The lamp is angled carefully, the light offered politely to the chamber, as if asking permission. And inside, the first thing you notice is not gold, not mystery, not spectacle. It is order. The chamber feels composed, as though someone arranged it with the same kind of tenderness you might use to prepare a room for a guest you love. There may be jars placed in deliberate positions, there may be a low platform, there may be traces of pigment on stone, faint and softened by time, colors that have learned to whisper. And then gradually the eye finds what it came for. A figure resting, wrapped, still. Not as a horror story, but as a portrait of care. The ancient Egyptians did not treat the resting body as something to hide away in shame or fear. They treated it as a vessel that deserved gentleness, preparation, and dignity. Their burial spaces were not simply places to store the dead, they were spaces meant to hold peace. In the lamp's glow, gold leaf may appear, yes, there can be gold, but it does not behave like modern glitter. It behaves like sunset. It warms the room. It softens edges. It reflects the light back in a way that feels almost comforting. You might remember the names some archaeologists give to such discoveries, names like Heka, a figure found resting with traces of gold, preserved not for drama but for memory. Even the sound of the name feels quiet in the mouth, like a sigh. But tonight, we do not need to fixate on labels. We can simply notice what the scene suggests. A life was honored here. A person was loved enough that someone took time, real time, to prepare this room. And in that thought, there is a soft bridge between then and now, because you too have been prepared for in ways you may not always see. A bed made for you. A light turned off so you can rest. A door closed so the outside world stays outside. Even if no one else did those things for you today, you can do them now, gently, for yourself. Let the chamber remain quiet in your imagination, and let the story begin to move, not by jumping, not by rushing, but by drifting, the way a slow river drifts. Because these underground corridors are not only about one tomb, they are part of a wider landscape of care, ritual, and deep time. And as we step back from the newly opened doorway, we let the past remain dignified. We do not poke, we do not pry, we simply witness. Then we turn slowly toward the gallery beyond. The passage widens. The stone ceiling arches low enough that the air feels close and protected. The lamp's light travels along the walls in warm bands, revealing textures like waves frozen in limestone. And now, without any sudden change, the story slides softly into Memphis. Not the modern Memphis, not the maps you may know today, but the ancient city beside the Nile, alive with slow, repeating rhythms, water rising and falling, seasons returning, prayers spoken in familiar patterns. Imagine it at dawn, not a busy dawn, not a frantic dawn, a gentle dawn, the river mist lifting like a veil, palm fronds barely moving, a thin, golden light spreading across mud brick walls. In this city there is a temple where people come not to argue or compete, but to align themselves with a sense of order. Mayat, balance, was not an abstract idea to them. It was a daily practice. It was something you kept, the way you keep your home tidy, the way you keep your promises, the way you keep your breath steady. And in the temple's quiet courtyards, there is the presence of Apis, the sacred bull chosen by markings, honored as a living symbol of vitality and divine connection. People do not approach with loud excitement. They approach with the kind of reverence that naturally lowers the voice. If you are the kind of person who finds comfort in ritual, making tea the same way each night, folding a blanket, turning down the lights, then you already understand this world. Ritual is not meant to trap you. Ritual is meant to soothe you. And when the time came, when an Apis bull died, the city's grief did not become chaos. It became procession, slow, measured, held. Tonight, we will walk with that procession, not as outsiders gawking, but as quiet companions. You can picture the movement through underground galleries like the ones at Saqqara. Long corridors, large stone chambers, cool air that steadies the heartbeat. The people's footsteps are careful. The rustle of linen is soft. There may be a low hum of prayer, barely more than breath. And the sacred presence is carried through the darkness with the same tenderness you might carry a sleeping child from one room to another. As the procession moves, the lamp in our story moves too, its light gliding over stone, over carvings, over smooth surfaces worn by time. The rhythm of movement becomes hypnotic. Step, pause, and in that rhythm, your mind can find a place to rest. If you want, let your breathing follow it. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. No pressure, just a gentle matching. And as we drift deeper into the gallery, we notice something else. This place is not only for grief, it is for continuity, for the reassurance that life and death are not enemies but part of a cycle, like river and bank, like day and night. The ancient Egyptians built with stone, yes, but also with patience. They built with repetition. They built with the quiet confidence that what is cared for can endure. And that is where tonight's story begins to turn, not sharply, but softly, like a boat changing direction on calm water. Because as we walk these corridors, we are also walking toward another image above ground, one that many people carry in their minds when they think of Egypt, a pyramid. But not the pyramid you've seen in postcards, not the sandy, weathered triangle alone against the sky. A different pyramid, a pyramid that once upon a time was dressed in white stone, smooth and bright enough to catch the sun and return it like a gentle mirror. Just hold that thought like a warm pebble in your hand. White stone, soft reflection, a triangle of light. We will arrive there soon in the next part by rising from the cool underground into the pale morning of the plateau, where the desert air feels clean and the world above is quiet in its own way. For now, let the underground remain a shelter. Let the lamp remain warm. Let the footsteps remain slow. And if your thoughts try to sprint ahead, you can let them come back, one breath at a time, into this calm corridor where nothing demands you. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. Don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. When we rise again, we do it slowly, as if the earth itself is asking us to move with the same patience it used to keep its secrets. One step upward, then another, the corridor loosening, the air warming by a small degree, until the hush of stone becomes the wider hush of open desert. The lamp's circle of light fades, replaced by the gentler light of early morning, thin, pale, and almost shy. Above ground, Saqqara is quiet. The plateau stretches out like a resting animal, still broad, unbothered. The sand is cool enough that it does not sting. The wind is soft enough that it feels like a hand passing lightly over your hair. And far away, the step pyramid of Djoser stands in the dawn like a calm old thought that refuses to leave the mind, not because it is troubling, but because it is steady. If you are listening from a busy American city, where the night is never fully dark, where streetlights glow like small orange moons, then let this scene offer you something different. A morning without urgency.
A horizon without expectation, just space and time, and the feeling that nothing is asking you to prove yourself right now. In the distance, the stones hold their shape in silence. There is no music in the air, no crowd noise, no sharp call of urgency. Only the desert's long exhale. And you may notice, as you picture it, that your body wants to follow. Your shoulders sinking a little deeper into the pillow, your eyelids becoming heavier, not with effort, but with permission. Take a soft breath in, and let it go out slowly, as if you are releasing it into the open sky. The step pyramid is not the smooth triangle many people imagine when they think of Egypt. It is a layered form, like a set of broad, ancient steps stacked toward the heavens. In this light, it looks almost like a natural formation, as if the desert itself decided to build a staircase for the sun.
But tonight, because we are telling this as a sleep story, not a lecture, we do not need to explain it. We simply let it be there. And then very gently, the story begins to drift from Saqqara toward another image, one that has lived in human imagination for centuries, the Great Pyramids on the Giza Plateau. We travel the way dreams travel, not by miles, by mood, by a slow turning of the camera in your mind from one quiet triangle of stone to another. As we drift, the air becomes slightly different. The plateau changes, the stones change, the sense of scale changes too, but not in a way that makes you tense, more like standing before a wide ocean and feeling oddly comforted by its steadiness. In the earliest morning, the Giza Plateau is still, the world is mostly colorless. There is a faint blue at the edge of the sky, and then slowly a wash of gold begins to spread, as if someone is painting the horizon with a careful brush. And there they are. The pyramids, not as tourist icons, not as mysteries with loud theories attached, but as quiet silhouettes, patient, familiar, almost gentle. If you have ever looked at an old photograph of your grandparents and felt that soft ache of time and tenderness, you may understand what these shapes can do to the heart. They remind us that human life passes, and yet human care, human craft, human longing to build something lasting, those things can remain. Now let the scene soften further, because instead of looking at the pyramids as they are today, weathered, sandy, their surfaces textured by centuries, we are going to allow a small, soothing shift, a soft discovery. Not a shocking reveal, just a beautiful detail like noticing the sheen of frost on a window. Many people do not realize that the Great Pyramids were once dressed in smooth white limestone casing, stone cut so carefully, fitted so precisely, that sunlight could glide across it. In that earlier time, the pyramids were not the same warm sand color we see now. They could appear bright, pale, almost luminous, like mountains of light resting on the earth. Imagine it, not blinding, just clean and soft. Morning sunlight touching white stone. The pyramid becoming, for a moment, a mirror for the sky. If your mind is tired tonight, let it rest in that image. A triangle of quiet brightness. A shape that does not demand anything, but simply reflects. And at the very top, there may have been a capstone. Some sources call it a pyramidion, possibly covered in a material that caught the sun more strongly, like a small, concentrated dawn. You don't have to hold the detail too tightly. You can simply picture a gentle point of brightness at the apex, like the first star that appears before day fully wakes. A dot of light, a soft beacon, not a conquest, not a claim, just a small symbol that time once loved to decorate its own silence. As we linger here, notice how the story is already doing something for you. It is giving your mind one simple, steady image to hold. And when the mind has one steady image, it can stop scanning, it can stop searching, it can settle. Now, let us move closer, not with quick footsteps, with a slow approach, like walking toward a lighthouse at night, hearing only your own breathing and the hush of distant water. The pyramid's base is wide, its presence is calm, and if you stand at a respectful distance, you can almost feel how the ancient builders must have felt. Small, yes, but part of something larger than their daily worries. Here, I want to offer you a scene that is especially suited for sleep, a rhythm. Because the building of a pyramid, when you strip away the modern drama we attach to it, is full of repetition. Quiet, steady repetition. And repetition, when it is gentle, becomes a lullaby. So let us time travel softly, not with a jolt, not with a whirlwind, but with a slow dissolve, like a film fading from one scene to the next. The plateau is now alive, but not chaotic. It is early morning again, thousands of years ago. The air is cooler, the Nile is not far away, its waters having fed the city and the fields, its annual rhythms shaping life like a dependable heartbeat. Workers move in lines, not frenzied, not panicked, moving with practiced coordination. There are sledges, there are ropes, there are wooden rollers or planks, there are voices, yes, but not screaming voices, voices that call out in cadence, keeping time, the way rowers keep time on a river. Pull and breathe, pull and breathe. You can almost hear it like a distant drum, except softer. Ah. Not a war rhythm, a work rhythm, a human rhythm. A rhythm that, if you listen long enough, begins to match the rhythm of your own body. If you want, let your breathing synchronize. Inhale as they prepare. Exhale as they pull. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, pull. The stones slide over prepared paths. The motion is not fast. It is steady. The sound is not sharp. It is low, textured. Wood against sand, rope, fiber tightening, footsteps compressing earth. And what is most calming about this image is that it is not about one heroic moment. It is about many small moments done with care. 1,000 quiet pulls, 1,000 careful placements, a craft practiced like a meditation. Somewhere nearby there are water jars, there are simple tools, there are hands that know what to do without speaking much. There are supervisors who measure and check, not with theatrical gestures but with calm attention. And above it all, the sky is wide. The same sky you might see tonight if you step outside and look up. The same stars shifting slowly across centuries. When modern life feels too fast, the mind often craves one thing, a sense of longer time. And here it is. In this scene, time does not sprint. Time walks, time repeats. Time lays one stone after another and calls that patience. We drift forward again, still in the ancient morning, still in the calm rhythm. The pyramid rises slowly, step by step, layer by layer, until it begins to catch the sun differently. Light falls along its casing stones. The surface brightens. The edges sharpen into a clean geometry that feels strangely soothing, like a perfectly folded sheet. And then, softly, our dream camera lifts. It floats above the plateau, not high, not dizzying, just enough to see the shape as a whole, to see how the pyramid sits in its landscape like a quiet thought resting in the mind. From above the desert is a canvas. The pyramid is a simple form, a triangle, a point, a calm message that says some things can be built slowly and still endure. Now let that message drift toward you personally, because you too have been building something, maybe not in stone, maybe in years, maybe in endurance, maybe in the way you kept going through difficult seasons, the way you learned how to hold yourself together, the way you showed up for others, even when you were tired. Often, the people who listen to sleep stories are people with invisible pyramids, structures of responsibility and memory and effort that no one applauds, but that stand nonetheless. If that is you, let the ancient builders offer you a gentle kind of respect tonight. Not loud praise, just quiet recognition. You have carried weight, you have placed stones, you have made it this far, and now for a little while you can set the rope down, you can loosen your grip, you can let the work, rhythm, fade into the background. As the ancient morning continues, we allow the bright image to soften again, like sunlight filtered through thin cloth. The pyramid remains, but we do not need to stare at it. We can let it become part of the horizon. And as it settles into the distance, another path begins to appear, one that leads away from the bright stone and back into the desert's gentler shade. There is a place far from the pyramid's crisp lines where the sand meets sparse vegetation, where a narrow corridor of green can exist even in a harsh landscape, where people learned quietly how to guide water, how to coax shade, how to make the desert a little kinder. We will walk that path next, not to chase a secret, but to follow a softer kind of wisdom, the wisdom of care. For now, let the white pyramid remain in your mind like a calm lantern. Let the work rhythm become a lullaby. Pull and breathe. Pull and breathe. And as you listen, allow your own body to grow heavier, as if it is being gently anchored to rest. If you were standing on the plateau in this pale morning, what would you choose to do first? Touch the cool stone, listen to the wind, or simply close your eyes for a moment? You don't have to decide. You can just let the question float, like a feather drifting down. The pyramid's bright image stays behind us like a calm lantern on the horizon, and the desert invites us to walk in a different direction, not toward bigger monuments, not toward louder wonders, but toward shade, toward water, toward the quiet intelligence of people who learned, slowly, how to make harsh places gentler. In your mind, the scene softens into travel again. The sky is still pale, the air still cool, and the land stretches wide as if it has all the time in the world. We do not rush across it. We drift, as though the story is carried on a long exhale. Somewhere far to the east, beyond the Nile's green ribbon, the landscape becomes more rugged. The sand shifts into stone. Low hills rise like sleeping animals. The light changes too, turning a little clearer, a little sharper, like morning glass. This is the direction of Sinai, a place that can feel severe in daylight, but strangely soothing at the edges of dawn and dusk, when the heat releases its grip and everything becomes quiet again. Imagine a path that ancient travelers once used, merchants, messengers, temple workers, moving with small caravans, not in a hurry, but with steady purpose. Their footprints did not last long in the sand. The wind erased them. Yet their knowledge remained, where shade could be found, where water could be stored, where a person could rest without fear. And if you have been carrying your own invisible caravan, your responsibilities, your worries, your unfinished lists, then let this be a gentle invitation. For the next few minutes, you can set the load down, not forever, just for tonight. The desert does not judge you for being tired. It simply offers you its long, quiet patience. We arrive, softly, at a place that feels like a boundary between worlds. A fortified outpost built where the desert and the route meet. The walls are not glamorous, they are practical. They hold heat in the day and give it back slowly at night. In the early light, the stone is the color of warm bone and the shadows are deep blue. Nothing here feels dramatic. It feels cared for. A gate stands partly open. The wooden beams are thick, worn smooth where many hands have touched them. Inside, the air is cooler. The ground is packed earth, swept clean. A few clay jars rest near a corner, their rounded shapes comforting in their simplicity, like quiet companions. And then you notice something that changes the feeling of the entire place. A line of shade, not accidental shade from a wall, a deliberate shade created by a plan, a corridor where the light is softened and the air is calmer, as if someone thought long ago about how a body feels when it walks too long under sun. This is the soft discovery we've been walking toward. In a land that seems, from a distance, like pure dryness, there were places where people made green happen on purpose, through channels, through stored water, through small systems that worked quietly in the background. Imagine a green avenue, a gentle line leading inward, where trees or planted pits provided patches of shadow. The leaves are not lush like a rainforest. They are desert smart, small, sturdy, built to hold on. The trunks are thin, the branches make a light canopy, and the breeze moves through it with a sound like paper turning in a slow book. If you listen closely, you can hear it. Leaf against leaf. A soft rustle, not noisy, not restless. Just enough to remind the mind that it is safe, that it is sheltered. And the shift from sun to shade is immediate, almost physical, like stepping out of a crowded room into a quiet hallway. You may feel your own nervous system respond to that image, a tiny unclenching, a small release, because shade is not only a temperature, shade is a signal. It tells the body you can stop bracing, you can rest. In this imagined avenue, the ground is slightly darker, packed by many footsteps. The air holds a faint smell of wet earth, not strong, just a hint, like the scent that rises when rain touches dust. Somewhere nearby, water has been poured carefully, not wasted. There are channels, shallow and thoughtful, guiding the precious flow where it needs to go. And here, without any loud explanation, we can feel the ancient mindset. They did not only dream in stone, they also dreamed in systems, in rhythms, in patience. They watched seasons, they measured, they learned what the land would accept. They practiced care the way you practice a gentle habit, one day at a time. If your life has felt chaotic lately, this is the kind of wisdom that can soothe you. Not a grand solution, a quiet system, a small routine, a simple way of caring for yourself that you can repeat until your body believes it again. As we walk deeper into the shade, notice how the story becomes slower, the light becomes softer, even the sounds become rounder. Footsteps are muted here, as if the earth is padded. There is a guard, perhaps, but he does not feel threatening. He is simply present, doing his role, watching the entrance the way a person watches over a sleeping household. His gaze is not sharp, it is steady. Inside the outpost, there may be a small courtyard, maybe a basin, maybe a jar where water is stored beneath a cloth to keep it cool. In the early hours, someone pours a little water into a shallow channel, and it travels quietly, obediently, toward the planted line. The flow is not loud, it is a thin whisper, a thread of life moving through dust. If you want, let your mind rest on that sound, a tiny stream, a gentle trickle, the kind of sound that never argues with you. It simply continues, and in that continuing it becomes a lullaby. Now the day slides forward the way a slow cloud slides across a wide sky. Noon comes and passes without drama. Heat gathers outside the walls, but inside the green corridor the air stays calmer, filtered through leaves and shade. A traveller sits with their back against cool stone, sipping water in small, respectful mouthfuls, as if honouring the effort it took to bring this water here. Nearby, a simple meal is shared, bread, perhaps, and a few dried fruits. Nothing extravagant, only enough to restore steady strength and quiet gratitude. Someone folds a cloth, wipes dust from a jar, and offers a small smile as if to say, "You made it." Later, as the sun lowers, the corridor grows even gentler. Shadows lengthen, the breeze returns. A clay lamp is lit, and the flame wavers like a slow heartbeat behind a thin veil of light. The scent of oil is faint and warm. Above the outpost, the first stars begin to appear, one by one, not rushing, as if the sky is remembering an old ritual of its own. In that star-lit quiet, the outpost becomes less a fortress and more a shelter, an island of calm where the body can stop preparing for the next thing. In the distance, a single bird crosses the sky, then disappears, and the silence returns, wide and forgiving around you once more. If you are listening in your own shelter tonight, let this be your moment to arrive too. Feel where your body meets the bed, let the weight of your legs sink, let your hands loosen, let your breath become simple again, in and out, steady and unforced. Now we let the camera of the mind widen again. We see how the green corridor is not a miracle. It is a choice, a design, a commitment. And that is the twist, the soft truth hidden inside the sand. Even in a landscape that looks empty, care can be planted. Even in a season that feels dry, something can be kept alive, quietly, patiently, until it becomes shade. This is not only ancient history, it is also personal, because many of the people listening tonight are in a kind of inner desert. You are capable. You have kept going. But inside you may feel heat, pressure, worry, old exhaustion that has been stored in the body like daytime warmth stored in stone. So tonight, let this green avenue become your inner corridor of shade. A place you can return to whenever you need to cool down. A place where the mind does not have to solve everything. a place where the only task is breathing. Inhale gently and exhale slowly, as if your breath is moving through a narrow channel, guided, supported, unhurried. And now, I will ask you another soft question, one that you can answer in your own time. If you could walk through this green corridor tonight, what would you want to hear most? The faint trickle of water, the whisper of leaves, or the comfort of near silence? There is no wrong answer. Your answer is simply a small mirror of what your nervous system needs. And if you choose to share it, you can leave it below, like leaving a small lantern on the path for someone else who is tired. Because here, no one rests alone. We walk through time together quietly. We do not demand the desert become a garden overnight. We simply notice the places where it already learned to soften. And as the shade deepens and the leaves continue their slow, paper-like rustle, the story begins to lead us back underground again, not into fear, but into another kind of protected quiet. Because there is one more gentle wonder waiting for us, a small wooden figure, a ritual object built with a secret inside, not a frightening secret, but a soothing one, a mechanism, a movement, something that rises and falls like breath. We will find it soon in the next part under warm lamplight, where even ancient ingenuity feels like a lullaby. For now, let the green corridor hold you. Let the desert cool, let the day fade, and let your eyelids grow heavier as if shade itself is settling over them. Evening returns the way it always does in the desert. Not with a dramatic curtain, not with a sudden drop, but with a slow dimming of the light, as if the sun is gently turning down a lamp. In the green corridor we just walked through, the last warmth of day lingers in the stone, then begins to soften. The leaves quiet their whisper, the air cools, and the outpost, once a shelter from heat, becomes a shelter for sleep. Somewhere inside, a clay lamp is lit again. The flame is small, steady, and golden. It makes the shadows feel round, not sharp. It makes the walls look like they are breathing, expanding and relaxing with the night. And as you listen, you may notice your own room doing the same thing. The day's sharpness fading, the edges of your thoughts growing less defined, your body remembering that it is allowed to rest. So let us travel again, softly, without distance, without effort. Let the story move the way a dream moves, from one quiet shelter to another, from shade to lamplight, from desert to stone corridors, from the wind outside to the hush within. We return to Egypt's inner spaces. Not the grand open plateaus now, but the rooms behind walls, the chambers behind curtains, the storerooms where sacred objects wait in patient silence. Imagine a temple complex near Memphis, not crowded, not loud. It is late in the day, perhaps the last hour before full night, and the courtyards have emptied. The sun has dropped low enough that columns stretch long shadows like dark ribbons over pale stone. A few birds settle into quiet corners. Somewhere, a priest or a caretaker or a craftsman walks slowly, checking oil lamps, smoothing a cloth, closing a wooden door with care. The temple does not feel like a stage. It feels like a home for stillness. And deep inside, away from the open courtyard, there is a small storeroom. A room that is not meant for crowds. A room that smells faintly of wood and resin, linen and dust, old reeds and old ink. If you have ever opened an antique chest or stepped into a quiet attic, you know that particular scent. Soft, dry, slightly sweet, like time made gentle. In this storeroom, objects rest the way sleeping things rest. A bundle of linen folded carefully, a small palette used for pigment, now quiet, a few carved pieces wrapped in cloth, a wooden figure placed in a niche as if someone set it down and whispered, "Stay safe here." This is where we find it, not with a spotlight, not with fanfare, just with the slow approach of warm lamplight. At first it looks simple, a wooden statue carved with care, its surface polished by hands that understood patience. The wood is dark, honeyed, slightly worn at the edges. Its form suggests a goddess, Hathor, associated with tenderness, music, protection, and the soft strength of care. The face is calm, the eyes are stylized, steady, not staring. The posture is balanced. Everything about it suggests steadiness, like a lullaby that has been sung so many times it no longer belongs to one person, but to the night itself. And then comes the soft discovery. Not a secret meant to shock you, but a secret meant to soothe you, the way a hidden pocket in a coat can feel strangely comforting. Inside the statue there is a simple mechanism, a pulley, a cord, a small internal structure that allows an arm to lift and lower, slowly, quietly, like a motion practiced for ritual, for ceremony, for gentle repetition. Imagine it with me. The caretaker's hands are careful. They do not yank, they do not force. They hold the figure as though it is alive in a different way, alive with meaning, alive with memory. A cord is drawn with a small, respectful pull, and the wooden arm rises, not abruptly, not dramatically. It rises as if it has all the time in the world. Up, and then with release, down, up, down. The movement is almost hypnotic, like the pendulum of an old clock in a quiet house, like the slow lift and fall of a sleeping chest, like waves repeating their soft work at night. If your mind has been restless, this is the kind of detail that helps it settle, a single motion repeated gently until the mind stops trying to solve things and begins to simply watch. Up, down, up, down. And as you watch it in your imagination, you may feel your breath begin to imitate it naturally. Inhale, the arm rises. Exhale, the arm lowers, not forced, just suggested. Because the most powerful calming tools are the ones that feel like permission, not instruction. This small mechanism is not about modern complexity. It is about ancient understanding. Someone long ago realized that movement can be meaning, that repetition can be comfort, that a sacred moment does not require fireworks. It can be made of one slow gesture, repeated with care, like saying a prayer, not with words, but with rhythm. Think of how many things in your own life are like that. The way you brush your teeth at night, the way you lock the door, the way you fold a blanket or set a glass of water nearby. Simple actions that tell the body, we are safe now. We can stop scanning the world. We can sleep. The statue's arm continues its quiet rise and fall, and the lamplight makes the wood glow warmly, as if the figure is holding a small sunset inside it. Outside the temple walls, the city has quieted too. Memphis at night would have been softer than a modern city. Fewer lights, fewer interruptions. The sky would have been deeper, the stars brighter. Somewhere in the distance, the Nile would have moved like a long, dark ribbon carrying reflections downstream. And here, in the storeroom, there is only the quiet sound of a cord moving gently, the soft creak of wood, the hush of air. It is a room built for the nervous system to unclench. And for a moment, I want you to feel that unclenching. Not as an idea, as a physical easing. Let the space between your eyebrows soften. Let your tongue rest comfortably in your mouth. Let your shoulders drop by a fraction. Let your hands become heavier, less ready to do, more ready to be. Up, down. In the ancient world, people often feared the chaos outside, heat, drought, illness, uncertainty. And so they created places like this, temples, rituals, objects, to hold steadiness in the middle of a changing world. Not so different from you. You may not think of yourself as someone who needs ritual, But if you are listening tonight, you likely do have one. The ritual of finding a story, finding a voice, finding a calm corner of the night. And that is a beautiful thing, because ritual is not weakness. Ritual is the way a tired mind learns to trust again. Now let us widen the scene slightly, like the camera pulling back. We see the people behind this object, not as dramatic characters, but as quiet workers. A woodcarver sitting in a shaded workshop, shaping the figure slowly. The scent of wood dust in warm air, the steady rhythm of tools scraping gently. No rush, just craft. A person weaving cord, twisting fiber into strength. A caretaker learning how to use the mechanism without strain, so the movement remains smooth, never jerky, never startling. And behind all of them, the larger culture that understood something tender, that beauty and care are not luxuries, they are survival. When life is uncertain, gentleness is a kind of shelter. And the statue, with its breathing arm, becomes a small shelter you can carry into your own night, because the world you live in can be loud, fast, bright, unrelenting, but you are allowed to create your own quiet mechanism, a repeated motion, a repeated breath, a repeated story, up, down. If you want, we can let the statue become a guide for a few breaths, just a few, like soft footsteps. Inhale, rise, exhale, lower, inhale, rise, exhale, lower. If your thoughts interrupt, that's okay. Thoughts are like dust in lamplight. They drift, they shimmer, then they settle. And now I'll offer you a gentle question, one you can answer in your own time, or simply let float like a feather. If you could watch that wooden arm move in the lamplight, what would feel most soothing to you? A slower rhythm, a steady rhythm, or a rhythm so soft it almost disappears into silence? There is no right answer. Your answer is simply your body speaking. And if you choose to share it later, you can place it in the comments like a small note tucked into a quiet drawer. Because here, no one rests alone. Now, the lamplight in the storeroom begins to dim, not because anything is ending abruptly, but because the caretaker is preparing the temple for night, the way you prepare your own home. The cord is released, the arm settles down. The statue becomes still again. The cloth is placed gently over the figure, not to hide it, but to protect it, the way you pull a blanket up over yourself. A door is closed softly. A latch clicks, quiet as a whisper, and we leave the storeroom not with a sense of loss, but with a sense of completion, like finishing a cup of tea and setting it down, warm and satisfied. Outside, the temple courtyards are now dark. The stars above are clear. And somewhere beyond the walls, the desert is doing what it always does, cooling, quieting, smoothing the world into softness. In the next part, we will return once more to the underground galleries, the long corridors where stone holds silence, and we will listen again to what those places were truly built to protect. Not fear, not drama, peace. We will let the procession move again, footsteps, linen, or pure silence. And we will let that choice of sound guide us deeper into sleep. For now, stay with the final image, a small wooden arm that rose and fell like breath, and then became still and remained safe in the dark. Just like you can become still now, just like you can be safe in the dark. Night returns us to the underground the way sleep returns us to ourselves, without struggle, without explanation, just by a quiet turning inward. The desert above has cooled now, the plateau is darker, softer, and the wind has become a thin, careful presence that touches stone and then moves on. Stars spread across the sky like slow lanterns. And the step pyramid, far off in the distance, is no longer a monument, only a silhouette, a calm shape resting under the night. Somewhere nearby, a small team prepares a descent again. Not with excitement, with respect. A lamp is checked, oil is measured, a wick is trimmed, tools are set down gently. There is a quality to their movements that feels familiar to anyone who has ever tried to move quietly in a sleeping home. When you don't want to wake the children, or you don't want to wake the part of yourself that has been anxious all day, they move slowly, they speak softly, and then with a final glance toward the open sky, they step down into the earth. You can come with them, not as an observer who must remember details, not as a student who must stay alert, but as a tired traveler who has finally been offered shelter. If your day has been loud, let the darkness here feel protective. If your mind has been overthinking, let this corridor give it one simple job. Follow the light. The entrance is narrow and the steps down are uneven, worn by time. The air changes again, cooler, stiller, with that faint mineral scent that belongs to stone and dust. As the lamp lowers, the darkness does not feel empty. It feels full of quiet, like a library after hours, like a church when the last person has left, like a room where grief has long since softened into memory. And as the team moves deeper, the lamp paints the walls in gold. Dust floats in the beam like slow snow. The sound of movement becomes gentle and regular. One foot, then the other. A pause, a breath. One foot, then the other. If you want, let your breathing match it. Inhale softly as the foot lifts. Exhale slowly as it lands. You are not being asked to do anything. You are simply being allowed to follow a rhythm that has no urgency. The passage widens into a long gallery. Here the ceiling feels lower, as if the earth is leaning in to hush you. The walls are smoother. The ground is packed and steady, and you can sense, even without seeing, that this space was designed not only for storage, but for movement, processional movement, slow and careful, a ritual that traveled through darkness the way a lullaby travels through a child's mind. This is where the Apis procession returns, not as a spectacle, as a feeling. Imagine it gently, a sacred presence carried through stone corridors, linen shifting in soft folds, lamplight flickering along the walls, a careful pace that never breaks the calm. In a world where so much was uncertain, heat, drought, illness, the unpredictable moods of life, the ancient Egyptians held on to what they could control. Order, repetition, care. They made rituals not to stir the heart into panic, but to steady it. And here in the underground, everything was designed to support that steadiness. The gallery is long enough that your mind can stop asking, "What's next?" and begin to accept, "We're simply here." And now I want to return to the gentle question you were offered earlier, because it matters in a sleep story. Not for engagement alone, but because sound is one of the oldest ways the nervous system decides whether it is safe. So as you imagine this procession moving through the underground galleries, what do you choose to hear tonight? Footsteps, slow, muffled, steady? The rustling of clothing, linen whispering like wind through dry grass? Or just silence, pure, wide and comforting? Choose one. Not with effort, with instinct. And then let your choice become the soundtrack of this part of the journey. If you choose footsteps, let them be soft and even. If you choose linen, let it be gentle, like pages turning. If you choose silence, let it be the kind that does not feel empty but held. The procession moves forward. The lamp moves with it, sending warm light ahead like a promise. And as it moves, the gallery begins to reveal its purpose: to keep certain things safe, undisturbed, protected from time's rough hands. But protection is not always about locking something away. Sometimes protection is simply about giving something a place to rest. And that is where this underground world becomes personal, because you too need a place to rest. Not only your body, your thoughts, your memories, your efforts, all the unseen work you have done to keep life moving. As the procession moves through the gallery, notice how your mind begins to behave differently. It stops reaching outward. It stops scanning for the next obligation. It starts to sink into a quieter mode, a mode that does not need to solve anything tonight. The corridor bends, the light changes, the dust continues to drift. And then, without any sudden shift, we arrive at a larger chamber, one that feels like the heart of the underground. The air is colder here, the stone feels older, the silence feels deeper, as if it has weight. If you were standing in such a chamber, you might feel your own heartbeat more clearly, not because you are afraid, but because the surrounding quiet makes every small human sound feel distinct. A chamber like this can remind you of something tender. You are alive, you have made it through today, and now you are allowed to soften into night. In the chamber, you may imagine large stone forms, sarcophagi perhaps, resting like sleeping animals, not frightening, just present. Their surfaces smooth, their corners softened by age. They feel like furniture in a house of time, objects meant not for display but for keeping. If your mind tries to attach big numbers or heavy measurements, you can let those thoughts pass. We don't need them. Tonight, we only need the feeling, scale as calm, not as challenge. The lamp's light glides across stone. It becomes a slow wave of gold traveling over dark surfaces. And in that moment, you might notice something curious. The underground is not only darkness, it is also light. Light, carefully carried, carefully offered, never wasted. It's like the way you carry your own attention. When you are anxious, attention is scattered, leaking everywhere. When you are calm, attention is gathered gently into one place, like lamplight in a corridor. So let your attention gather now, not tight, not forced, just gathered, into the sensation of your breath, into the heaviness of your eyelids, into the warmth of wherever your body is resting. The procession pauses. There is no dramatic speech, no loud announcement, only a quiet moment of stillness that feels like a bow. And in that stillness you can feel the ancient truth beneath all the stone. The people who built these places were not only building for death, they were building for continuity, for the belief that something of us should be treated gently even after the day ends. And that belief, when you strip away everything else, is profoundly calming, because it suggests you are worthy of gentleness too, even if you did not do everything perfectly today, even if you are tired, even if you are carrying invisible worries, you are still worthy of care. The lamp flickers once, then steadies. Someone adjusts the wick, a soft click of metal, a quiet inhale, and then the procession begins to move again, slower now, as if the underground itself is encouraging everyone to drop their pace. Step, pause, step, pause. If you chose silence earlier, it is even deeper now. If you chose footsteps, they are quieter now. If you chose rustling linen, it is softer now, like a curtain shifting in a barely there breeze. And as we move, the story begins to fold in on itself, like a blanket being pulled up. Because we are heading toward reflection, not intellectual reflection, not a debate, not an analysis, but the kind of reflection that helps you sleep, the kind that says, look at how long humans have been trying to create peace. Look at how often they return to the same simple methods: slow light, quiet rooms, repeated steps, gentle rituals. And look at you, doing the same thing tonight. You found a story, you found a voice. You found a corridor of calm. That is not small, that is wisdom. Here in this imagined underground, the past and present are not fighting. They are holding hands quietly. The ancient lamp becomes your bedside lamp. The procession's pace becomes your breathing. the chamber's protective stillness becomes the softness around your own heart. And now, I want to offer a gentle invitation, something that can turn this from a story you listen to into a small ritual you carry. On your next exhale, imagine the underground door closing, not with fear, not with heaviness, but with kindness. A door that closes to protect rest. A door that says, everything can wait until morning. Exhale and let the door close softly. Inhale and feel the body remain safe. If you want to share something tonight, only if it feels easy, leave a small comment for yourself. A single word is enough. Calm, or shade, or silence. Because sometimes the kindest note is the smallest one. Here, no one rests alone. And now, as the lamp continues forward, we begin to sense that another gentle truth is approaching, one that the underground has been holding all along. Not every mystery needs to be opened. Some mysteries are meant to stay closed like a sealed doorway, because the act of keeping something undisturbed is itself a form of love. In the next part, we will come close to that idea again through another chamber, another corridor, another quiet threshold, until we reach the moment where we choose, peacefully, to leave certain doors closed. And in doing so, we will teach the mind how to stop reaching, how to stop pulling, how to stop forcing, how to rest. For now, stay with the sound you chose, footsteps, linen, or silence, and let it repeat gently like a lullaby that does not need to end. Step, breath, step, breath. The underground has taught us something gentle tonight, that stillness can be built. Now we return to the surface again, slowly, as if we are rising through layers of sleep itself, through the heavy comfort of deep rest, toward the lighter quiet of a dream that is almost morning. The steps upward are steady. The lamp's glow follows behind like a loyal ember. And then the air changes, wider, cooler, touched by night wind. Above us, the desert sky opens like a dark velvet canopy, and the stars look unhurried, as if they have nowhere else to be. On the plateau, the world is quiet in a different way. The silence above ground is larger. It has distance in it. It holds the faintest movement of wind, the soft sifting of sand, the occasional whisper of fabric. It feels like the kind of silence you find when you finally turn off the last light in your home and stand for a moment in the doorway, listening to the night settle. If you are listening from somewhere busy, an apartment with traffic below, a house where a refrigerator hums, a city where sirens sometimes cut through the dark, let this desert silence become your counterweight, not to erase your world, but to soften it. Inhale gently and exhale a little longer. Before we move closer, let the night settle around you the way sand settles around stone. Picture cool grains sliding into every small hollow, smoothing sharp edges, quieting the day's footprints. Somewhere far away, the Nile is still moving, but you cannot hear it from here. You only feel the idea of water, the way you feel the idea of sleep before it arrives. Who are we tonight? Just you and this wide sky, and a few calm shapes that have outlasted so many restless thoughts. Where are we? On the open plateau between night and dawn. When are we? In the hour when the world is still deciding to wake. What are we doing? Not hunting answers, only letting the mind lower its voice. Why? Because the body remembers safety when everything is quiet. How? One breath, one soft image at a time. Now, in the distance, another shape waits, not the pyramid this time, not the bright triangle of white stone we imagined earlier, but something lower, closer to the ground, something that seems to have grown out of the plateau itself. A guardian, a face, a long body stretched toward the horizon, the great Sphinx, In the nighttime, it does not look like a tourist landmark. It looks like a patient animal resting with its paws forward, its gaze fixed on the edge where sky meets earth. The sand gathers around it like a blanket. The wind combs it softly, and the stars hang above its head like quiet thoughts. We approach without hurry, because the Sphinx, more than almost any monument, does not reward speed, it rewards presence. It rewards the slow act of looking, of letting the mind settle into a single, steady image. As you come nearer, notice the feeling in your body. Not excitement, not suspense, something quieter. A kind of calm awe, like standing beside an old tree and realizing it has been there for generations, silently doing its work of being. The lamp's light is not needed out here, but in our dream it remains, a warm golden circle moving across stone. It touches the Sphinx's flank. It touches the curve of its chest. It touches the worn lines of its face. And this is where we allow another soft discovery, one that changes the atmosphere without waking you. Many people picture the Sphinx as it appears now, a pale limestone figure in sun and sand, its color close to the earth around it. But long ago it may not have looked so muted. Long ago there were pigments, there were paints, there were hands that believed sacred stone deserved color, warmth, life. So imagine it, not as a bright cartoon, not as something loud, but as a gentle layer of hue, traces of red-brown along parts of the body, hints of blue or gold in ceremonial elements, the suggestion that the face once carried a warmth that time has slowly washed away. In your mind, the color is not sharp. It is faded like the tint of an old photograph, like a memory that remains even when the details soften. And the Sphinx itself becomes more human in that thought. Not because it is a person, but because it was cared for by people who wanted it to feel alive in the light.
Now, there is another gentle detail, one that can soothe the mind that loves quiet facts. Sphinx is not the name the ancient Egyptians first used. It is a later word carried by other tongues, other ages. The ancient people who lived here had their own way of naming the guardian of this horizon. They spoke of it as something connected to the sun, to the dawn, to the meeting point of sky and earth, like a sentinel watching the first light arrive each morning. And there is comfort in that, if you let it sink in. Names change, languages change, centuries change, but the need for guardians, symbols of steadiness, reminders of continuity, does not change. In your life, too, things have changed. Jobs, relationships, seasons, the shape of your days. You may sometimes feel like you are a different person than you were 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or even last year. And yet,
there is a part of you that has remained. A quiet witness. A steady gaze that looks out from behind your thoughts. Not judging, just present. The Sphinx becomes a mirror for that part of you tonight. So let us sit with it for a while, in the sand-cooled air. Imagine we are in the hours before dawn, when the world is at its softest. The city far away is quiet. The plateau is empty of crowds. The sky is deep, but the horizon is beginning to lighten by the smallest degree, like a seam of pearl forming between night and day. The Sphinx faces that seam. It has been facing it for a very long time. It does not demand that the sun arrive faster. It does not complain that the night was long. It simply watches as if to say, everything returns in its own time. If your mind has been anxious about timelines, about when something will get better, when a problem will resolve, when you will feel like yourself again, let the Sphinx offer you a calm alternative. You do not have to force dawn, you only have to be here as it comes. Now, in our story, we drift again softly into the ancient past, not by jumping, by dissolving. The plateau is quieter but alive in a gentle way. A few workers move near the Sphinx, They are not tourists, they are caretakers. They bring water in jars, they bring pigments in small bowls, they bring cloths and brushes. Their movements are practiced, unhurried. There is no sense of performance, only service. One kneels near the stone and brushes away dust from a carved line. Another mixes pigment with a little binder, perhaps egg, perhaps resin, creating a paint that will cling softly to limestone. A third lifts a brush and begins to lay colour, not in thick strokes, but in thin, careful layers. Stroke, pause, stroke. A rhythm like breathing. Inhale and exhale. This is not merely decoration, it is devotion expressed through patience. And as the paint settles into the stone's tiny pores, the Sphinx looks for a time more vivid, more present, more like a living idea. Then the wind comes, and then the sun comes, then years come, then centuries. And slowly, as everything does, the color fades, not as a tragedy, as a natural softening, because even fading can be beautiful when it happens gently, just like your own memories. Some stay sharp, some blur at the edges, and yet they remain part of you even as they change. Now, as the horizon brightens in our imagined dawn, the Sphinx's face becomes clearer. The contours catch pale light. The stone warms slightly, the way a mug warms when you hold it. And for a moment it feels as if the guardian is not only watching the sun, it is watching you. Not with scrutiny, with steadiness, with the kind of calm attention that can make the nervous system relax. If you want, you can place your own worries one by one at the Sphinx's paws, not to lose them forever, but to set them down for the night. A worry about work, a worry about money, a worry about someone you love, a worry about your own health, your own future, your own exhaustion. Set each one down gently, like stones you do not need to carry while you sleep, and then let the desert do what it does best. Let the sand cover them lightly, not to bury you, to protect you. Now I'll offer you a soft question, one that belongs to this moment of watching. If you were sitting near the Sphinx in the hour before dawn, what would you want most? To hear the wind, to hear your own breathing, or to hear nothing at all? You can answer quietly in your mind, or you can leave it as a small comment later, like a footprint that the wind will not erase because it was made with kindness. And if tonight's story stirred a gentle memory, you can share it too, because here, no one rests alone. As the first light spreads, our story begins to turn again, not sharply, but like a slow river bending, because beyond the Sphinx, beyond the painted traces and the changing names, there is another threshold we will meet, a sealed door, a protected chamber, a choice. And the choice will not be to break in. The choice will be to let some things remain undisturbed. To practice the art of leaving a door closed, not out of fear, but out of respect, out of love for peace. We will walk toward that door in the next part with warm lamplight and slow steps, until we reach the moment where we feel, deep in the body, that not everything needs to be opened tonight. Some questions can rest, some mysteries can sleep, and you can sleep too. The plateau is quiet again. After the Sphinx and its patient gaze, after the pale seam of dawn, the story turns back towards Saqqara, not as a return to suspense, but as a return to a feeling, the feeling of standing near something ancient and choosing gentleness over urgency. In your mind, the desert air is cool and clean. The sand is smooth where the wind has brushed it through the night. The light is still soft, early, uninsistent, so every shadow looks like velvet. And as we walk, we do not walk quickly. We walk the way you walk in a quiet house at night, slowly, with awareness, letting each step land without disturbance. If you feel yourself drifting, that's perfectly fine. This story is meant to drift with you. Inhale. Gently. Exhale. Longer. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands loosen. Let your thoughts, if they appear, be like distant birds crossing the sky, noticed and then allowed to pass. Somewhere ahead, beyond a low rise in the limestone plateau, a familiar entrance waits. The shaft, the steps, the corridor, the place where lamplight becomes a small sun in the underworld of stone. But tonight, we do not return for the thrill of opening something. We return for something quieter. We return to practice the art of leaving things undisturbed, because there is a kind of peace that comes not from knowing everything, but from trusting that you do not need to know everything to be safe. And that is a lesson many tired minds need. A tired mind often believes it must solve every question before sleep can arrive. It believes it must finish every thought. It believes it must tie every loose end. But ancient places teach us otherwise. Ancient places tell us some things can remain unfinished tonight and still be held. So we descend again, slowly, into the earth. The air cools, the walls close in. The lamplight becomes the center of the world. Dust rises in the beam like slow snow, and the sound of our steps becomes softer, muffled by the corridor's stillness. There is a comfort in this kind of darkness, not the darkness of fear, but the darkness of a closed eye. A darkness that does not demand anything, a darkness that only says, rest. As we walk, we pass familiar textures, limestone that looks like frozen waves, small scratches where hands once worked, places where the stone has worn smooth from repeated contact. It feels less like a tomb and more like a corridor in a very old home, one built not for hurry, but for continuity. And then we reach it, the sealed doorway, again. The mortar line still visible, pale against darker stone. The edge still clean enough to suggest intention, the seal still quietly holding its promise. But this time, the mood is different. Tonight, we are not here to break the seal. We are here to sit beside it, to understand what it means to leave something sleeping. The team's movements are careful. Someone holds the lamp steady, letting its warmth pool on the door. Another person leans close enough to see the faint impressions in the mortar, tiny human marks, and instead of raising a tool, they lower their hands. They simply look. And in that choice, the corridor grows calmer. You might feel it in your body. How even in imagination, the decision not to open the door changes your nervous system. It lowers the intensity. It signals safety. It tells the mind nothing will jump out. Nothing will demand your attention. We can stay here in quiet companionship. The desert above keeps its silence. The corridor below keeps its hush. And you, listening now, are invited into the same gesture, the gesture of not forcing your mind to resolve every thought, not forcing your heart to hold every worry, not forcing your body to stay alert, just letting things remain as they are, protected, undisturbed, held, because that is what the seal really is, not a challenge, a protection, a boundary made out of care. And when we see it that way, something inside us softens. We realize the ancient Egyptians were not obsessed with mystery for mystery's sake. They were obsessed with peace. They wanted the resting place to remain restful. They wanted the chamber to remain calm. They wanted the transition from life into the next world to be dignified, stable, uninterrupted. That impulse to protect quiet might be one of the most human impulses there is, and perhaps you have felt it too. Perhaps you have protected quiet in your own life, closing the door gently so someone can sleep, turning down a light so the evening can settle, lowering your voice because you know a harsh sound can crack the calm. Even choosing a sleep story tonight is an act of protection. you are protecting your rest. You are protecting your nervous system from the day. You are building a small seal of your own around the night, saying, outside can wait. So we stay here by the sealed door, and the story shifts into a slower kind of time. In the lamplight, you can imagine the hands that made the mortar line long ago, hands that mixed it, hands that smoothed it, hands that pressed it into place, hands that stepped back afterward and perhaps, just perhaps, felt the same relief you might feel when you finally finish preparing a room for someone you love. Because to seal a door is not always to lock something away. Sometimes it is to complete an act of care. Sometimes it is to say, you are safe now, you can rest. Now the corridor seems to widen, not physically, but emotionally. The air feels less tight, the silence feels less heavy. It becomes the kind of silence you find when you stop checking the clock, when you stop rehearsing tomorrow, when you stop trying to predict. And in that silence, a soft reflection rises naturally, not philosophical in a sharp way, not heavy, just true. Time does not rush, and you do not have to rush either. Time has held this door closed for thousands of years without strain. It has not worried that it is behind schedule. It has not panicked about what might be inside. It has simply continued its gentle work of holding. And tonight, you can borrow that. You can let time hold your unanswered questions for a while. You can let time hold your unprocessed moments for a while. You can let time hold tomorrow for a while, so you can sleep. If you want, imagine your mind as a corridor like this one, stone-lined, quiet, dimly lit. In that corridor are doors. Some are open, some are closed. Some lead to memories, some lead to plans, some lead to worries, some lead to longing. Tonight you do not need to open every door. Tonight you can choose one door to leave closed, just one. And you can do it with tenderness, not with avoidance, with respect, with love for your own peace. Exhale gently, as if you are sealing that door with warm mortar. Inhale softly, as if you are stepping back and letting it rest. Now the lamplight flickers, then steadies. Someone adjusts the wick, the flame becomes calm again, and the corridor feels like it is breathing. In and out, in and out. The story's camera drifts away from the door, not because we are fleeing it, but because we have received what we came for, a quiet permission, the permission to stop reaching. And as we drift back along the corridor, we pass through the underground in the same slow cadence as before. Step, pause, step, pause. No hurry, no urgency, only rhythm. And as we walk, we remember the other images of tonight, the green corridor in the desert, the white pyramid reflecting dawn, the Sphinx with traces of painted warmth, the wooden arm rising and falling like breath. All of them share the same hidden lesson. The most powerful things are not always loud. Often, the most powerful things are gentle, a shade line, a reflection of sunlight, a fading pigment, a repeated motion, a sealed door. And then quietly, the story lifts us upward again. Not fully into day, not into noise, just into the open night air, where the desert holds its coolness like a calm hand. Above ground, the sky is deep and wide, the stars are steady, the wind is thin, and the sand moves slowly, the way it always moves, softly, covering footprints, smoothing edges, returning everything to stillness. This is where we let the story offer a small community moment again, because even though you are listening alone, you are not resting alone. If this part of the story made you feel calmer, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself. Something as small as, "I can let it rest." And if tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, maybe a quiet place you once visited, or a calm moment you wish you could revisit, feel free to share it below. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. Now, one more soft question, one that belongs to this choice we just practiced. If you could leave one thing undisturbed tonight, one thought, one worry, one unanswered question, what would you choose to let sleep until morning? You don't have to answer out loud. You can simply let the question float. Sometimes the mind relaxes just from knowing it has permission. And as you let the question drift, the story begins to guide us toward the next gentle turn. Because we have learned how to leave a door closed. And now we will learn something even softer, how to return to the simplest, oldest comfort, the desert's blanket, the sand covering everything evenly without judgment, without hurry, without any need to explain. In the next part, we will follow the sand again, back to the opening image of the night, and let the story begin its slow descent towards sleep, bringing you not toward answers, but toward rest. For now, breathe once more. Inhale, calm, exhale, longer, and let the sealed door remain behind you, quiet, safe, undisturbed, like a thought you do not have to carry tonight. The desert returns to its oldest work, not building, not revealing, not persuading, only covering. As you walk in your mind across the Saqqara Plateau, you can feel the night's coolness resting on the sand like a thin veil. The wind is gentle enough to be almost polite. It does not push, it does not demand, it simply moves along the surface, combing the grains into soft ripples, smoothing yesterday's footprints the way a caring hand smooths a blanket before sleep. If your day was crowded with noise, emails, voices, obligations, the bright glare of screens, let this scene dim everything down. Let it be a place where you don't have to respond to anything, a place where the only thing that happens is quiet. Inhale gently, exhale longer. Above you, the sky is wide and dark, scattered with stars that look steady and patient. They don't flash, they don't compete. They simply hold their positions in the deep night, like calm witnesses who have seen every human season pass and still remain quiet. Below you, under the sand, there are layers. Not only tombs, not only chambers, layers of daily life, paths where people once walked, places where a jar once stood, a small courtyard where someone once sat to cool their hands in shade. There are streets of long-vanished Memphis, not in the way a modern city disappears, but in the way time gently stacks one world on top of another. Sometimes when you stand in a place like this, you can almost feel it. The sense that the ground beneath you is an archive. Not an archive made of loud facts, but an archive made of ordinary moments, a hand grinding grain, a reed pen scratching ink onto papyrus, a child falling asleep to a familiar song while the desert wind presses softly against the door. And there is something soothing about that, because it means the world has always contained more than what we can see. It means there is room for softness, even beneath hard surfaces. Imagine standing still and letting your mind widen for a moment. Who are you tonight? Not a problem solver, not a worker, not a person who must hold everything together. Tonight, you are simply a traveler. Where are you? On the desert plateau, where stone and sand meet the edge of a very old sky. When are you? In the hour that belongs to rest, when the body is allowed to become heavy, when the mind is allowed to stop rehearsing tomorrow. What are you doing? Nothing heroic, nothing urgent. You are letting the desert teach you how to quiet down. Why? Because your nervous system deserves peace, because you have carried enough today, because sleep is not something you earn, it is something you return to. How? One image at a time, one breath at a time, one soft exhale that tells the body, again and again, it's safe now. The wind shifts. A little sand lifts and moves like a slow curtain. In the distance, the step pyramid is still there, dark, layered, patient. It looks less like architecture now and more like a quiet thought resting in the landscape. The pyramid does not ask you to understand it. It simply stands, holding its stillness, the way a lighthouse holds its position on a coast. And somewhere else, farther away, the bright white pyramid we imagined earlier, smooth limestone reflecting dawn, still exists in the mind like a calm triangle of light. Not as a fact to argue, not as a spectacle, but as a simple picture the brain can rest inside. A triangle, a steady edge, a point that meets the sky. And then the Sphinx appears again, not in full detail, not as a close-up, but as a presence on the horizon, facing the coming morning. You can almost feel its patient gaze, not toward you, but toward the seam where night becomes day. A guardian not of secrets, but of continuity. This is what history can be in a sleep story, not a list of events, but a collection of steady images that help the mind stop racing. Now the story brings us to the simplest, oldest comfort of all. Sand. In the lamplight of our earlier underground corridors, dust floated like slow snow. Here above ground, sand does something similar, only broader, gentler, more forgiving. It covers without judgment, it softens without asking permission. It returns the world to quiet. If you have been holding a worry in your chest tonight, you can place it here, not forever, just for the night. Imagine taking that worry, whatever shape it has, and setting it down on the sand beside your foot. You don't have to describe it, you don't have to explain it. You only have to let it rest outside your body for a moment. A worry about work, a worry about money, a worry about someone you love, a worry about your own tiredness, your own future, your own pace. Set it down gently, and then let the wind do its work. Let the sand slide over it, grain by grain, as softly as a blanket being pulled up to the chin. Not to bury you, to protect you. The desert has been doing this for a very long time, covering and keeping, hiding and holding. It doesn't erase the past, it simply protects it from too much disturbance. It gives the world time to settle. And that is the kind of time you need tonight. Time that does not demand, time that does not perform, time that simply holds you while you drift. If your mind tries to reach for one more answer, one more explanation, one more thing to fix, you can answer it the way the desert answers, with softness. You can whisper just inside yourself, "Not tonight." And then let the thought be covered, lightly, until morning arrives on its own. Now let your breathing become the story's rhythm. Inhale, as if you are drawing cool desert air into your lungs. Exhale, as if you were letting the day's heat leave your body and dissolve into the open night. Inhale, cool. Exhale, warm release. If it helps, you can let the breath count itself down, the way sand counts time without numbers. 10, a slow inhale. 9, a long exhale. 8, the shoulders soften. 7, the forehead smooths. 6, the jaw releases. 5, the chest feels warmer. 4, the hands grow heavier. 3, the legs settle. 2, the eyelids lower. 1, and everything becomes quieter. In the distance, you can imagine a small lamp moving, an archaeologist returning to camp, a caretaker closing a gate, someone moving quietly so the night can remain undisturbed. The light is small, steady, and kind. It doesn't search for drama. It simply marks a gentle human presence in a vast landscape. And maybe there is a simple camp nearby, no bright fire, only a low glow, a kettle warming, the scent of tea or water heated over coals, a folded blanket, a bag set down, a moment where someone sits and listens to the wind and feels the relief of being done for the day. And that is another comfort. Even in wide silence, you are not alone. Here, no one rests alone. Every listener is a small lantern in the dark, Every quiet breath is a shared language. If you feel like it, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself later. Just one word that matches what you need tonight. Shade, silence, slow, or safe. And if you want one last gentle choice before sleep takes you, you can choose a sensation to keep. The coolness of stone from the underground gallery, the warmth of lamplight on a wooden figure, the soft shade of leaves in the desert corridor, or the simple, even weight of sand settling into stillness. Which one feels kindest to you tonight? You don't have to answer with words. Let your body answer by growing heavier, quieter, more at ease. If a memory appears, let it glow, then fade. Now the wind becomes even softer. The sand settles, the stars remain steady, and the story begins to lower its voice further, the way a lullaby lowers as the child finally starts to drift. We do not need any more discoveries tonight. We do not need more doors. We do not need more mechanisms. We only need this, a desert that covers the world in patience, a history that teaches us how to move slowly, a night that allows you to stop carrying everything. So let the images fade slightly at the edges. Let the pyramid become a silhouette. Let the Sphinx become a calm suggestion. Let the underground corridors become a warm memory of lamplight and quiet steps. And let the sand remain, close, soft and steady like a blanket that has been waiting for you all along. One more breath. Inhale, gently. Exhale and feel your body sink deeper into rest as if the desert itself is settling around you, protecting your sleep with its oldest kindness. There is a kind of wisdom that only appears when you stop chasing it. Not the sharp, bright kind of wisdom that arrives like an answer on a screen, but the quiet kind, the kind that settles into you the way warmth settles into stone at dusk. Tonight, we have walked through places that were built to hold stillness. Underground galleries where lamplight moved slowly and footsteps learned how to whisper. A sealed door that taught us the kindness of leaving things undisturbed. A green corridor in the desert, shade made on purpose, water guided with care. A wooden arm that rose and fell like breath. A guardian of the horizon once touched with color, watching dawn return without hurry. None of these things asked you to be clever. They only asked you to be present. And in that presence, your body may already feel different, heavier, softer, less braced. If your mind is still busy, that's all right. A busy mind is not a failure. It's often just a mind that has been carrying too much. So let's set things down again gently, like lowering a jar of water onto cool ground. Inhale softly. Exhale slowly. Imagine for a moment that you are standing near the Nile, not in the crowded heat of midday, but in the quiet hour when the river looks like dark silk and the world is turning towards sleep. The Nile is one of those presences that doesn't argue with you. It doesn't tell you to hurry. It doesn't demand that you fix yourself before you're allowed to rest. It simply moves, steady, ancient, continuous, carrying reflections downstream. In the distance, reeds shift, a bird settles, a small ripple spreads outward, then disappears. And you can feel something in that rhythm, the simple truth that life has always had cycles. Rise and fall, light and dark, work and rest. The ancient Egyptians understood this in their bones. They lived by the river's seasons, by the return of water, by the patience required to grow anything in a place that could become harsh. They were not strangers to uncertainty, drought, heat, illness, loss. And yet their response was not only fear, their response was care. They built systems to guide water. They planted shade where shade was needed. They created rituals that moved slowly through stone corridors so grief could be held without chaos. They sealed doors so rest could remain protected. In other words, they practiced something you may be practicing tonight without even naming it. They practiced the creation of safety. And safety, real safety, nervous system safety, is one of the most healing things a human being can feel. If you have been living in a modern kind of desert, too much noise, too much speed, too many expectations, then it makes sense that your body sometimes forgets what safety feels like. A busy American life can train the mind to keep scanning for deadlines, for problems, for what might go wrong, for what you might have missed. But the stories of the past can retrain you gently. Not by forcing you to think positive, not by demanding you calm down, but by offering you slow images that your body can trust. A corridor of shade, a lamp carried carefully, a door left closed, a river moving in the dark. And now, as we sit beside these images, I want to offer you a soft reflection, one that doesn't need to be solved. Sometimes the most restful thing you can do is to stop opening doors. Not literal doors. Inner doors. The ones that lead to, what if I fail? What if they're disappointed? What if I don't have enough time? What if I can't fix this? What if I never feel better? Those doors can be opened at any hour. Your mind is very skilled at that. But tonight, you don't have to. Tonight you can do what the desert does. Cover the footprints, smooth the surface, keep the deeper layers protected. So imagine your mind as that underground corridor again. Cool stone, warm lamplight, quiet air. Along the walls are doors. Some are already open. Memories, feelings, little fragments of the day. Some are closed. Old questions, unfinished conversations, future worries. Now choose one door you will not open tonight. Just one. You don't have to name it. Simply feel the decision in your body, the gentle lowering of effort. Exhale and let that door remain undisturbed. Inhale and feel how the corridor stays calm. This is not avoidance. This is rest. Rest is not something you earn by completing every thought. Rest is something you allow by pausing the endless reaching. And perhaps that is why the ancient images are so soothing, because they remind you that human beings have always needed places where the reaching stops. A burial chamber prepared with care, a sealed line of mortar, a procession that moves slowly instead of rushing, a green avenue carved through heat. These are all versions of one message. Peace is made, peace is protected, peace is practiced. Now let's return to a smaller rhythm, something simple enough for the mind to follow without effort. Remember the wooden arm inside the statue, rising and lowering like breath. In your imagination, let that motion return, but slower now. Up, down, and allow your own breath to match it if it wants to. Inhale, rise, exhale, lower. If the breath doesn't match, that's fine. Simply listen. Sometimes the calm comes not from control, but from companionship, staying near something steady until your body naturally settles into its pace. Up, down. Now let the scene drift back to the green corridor in the desert. It's nighttime there too. The leaves barely move. The shade is no longer needed for heat, but it still feels protective, like a hallway of safety. Somewhere, a jar of water sits under cloth, cool and quiet. The air smells faintly of earth that has been cared for. And as you walk beneath those leaves, you realize something that can feel like a soft miracle. Even in the desert, gentle systems can create softness. Even in a hard season, care can create shade. Even in a tired life, small repeated kindnesses can change the way the body feels. A glass of water by the bed, a dimmer light, a story voice, a slower breath, a door left closed. These are your personal irrigation channels. They do not need to be dramatic to be real. Now the story's camera widens one more time and returns to the plateau. The step pyramid is a dark shape under stars. The sand is cool. Somewhere far off, the world is beginning to lean toward morning, but not yet. There is a small camp in the distance, nothing bright, nothing loud, just a low glow, a kettle, a folded blanket, a person sitting quietly, listening to the wind, feeling the relief of being done for the day. You might recognize that person, not as a character with a name, but as a version of you who has finished carrying things for tonight. If tonight's story has given you even a small pocket of calm, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself. Just one word, something simple like safe, slow, shade, silence, rest. Because sometimes a single word can become a lantern you find again later. When another night comes, and now, a final soft question for this part, one that doesn't wake you but invites you to settle. If you could choose one sound to carry into sleep right now, what would you pick? The whisper of leaves, the faint trickle of water, the slow hush of sand moving, or pure, held silence? You don't have to answer aloud. Let your body answer by becoming heavier. Let your eyelids answer by lowering. Let your breath answer by lengthening its exhale. Because the story is beginning to dim its own lamp now, not ending sharply, just lowering, the way a room lowers into night. In the next part, we will let the images become even softer, fewer, simpler, until the story becomes almost nothing but wind, breath, and the steady patience of sand. And then, in the last part, we will let the desert tuck everything in, questions, worries, thoughts, until sleep arrives naturally like dawn, arriving at the horizon the Sphinx has been watching for so long. For now, stay with one gentle rhythm, inhale, calm, exhale, longer, and let the night hold you without asking you to do anything else. Now the story begins to do less. Not because there is nothing more to say, but because sleep is not built from many words. Sleep is built from fewer and fewer words, from softer and softer pictures, until the mind has nothing sharp to hold on to and simply drifts. So let us lower the lamp. Imagine that small flame again, golden, steady, kind. A lamp carried through stone corridors, through temple rooms, through the cool breath of the underground. Tonight, it has been your companion, not a spotlight, not a siren, just a warm circle of light that made the dark feel safe. And now, slowly, the flame is turned down. Not extinguished, only lowered. As it lowers, the world becomes simpler. The corridor becomes a suggestion. The pyramid becomes a silhouette. The Sphinx becomes a calm outline against the horizon. The green corridor becomes shade remembered by the body. The wooden arm becomes a slow motion you no longer need to watch because your breathing has learned it. Up and down, in and out. If you are still thinking, let thinking be allowed. You do not need to fight it, you can let it pass like wind over sand. The desert does not argue with wind, it lets wind move. And then when wind is done, the desert becomes still again. So when a thought rises, you can treat it the same way. A thought rises, you notice it, and you let it move on. Inhale, gently. Exhale, longer. For a moment, return to that first feeling of tonight. The museum after hours, the hallway empty, glass cases resting in their reflections. A soft yellow light above, not bright enough to wake the mind, only bright enough to comfort it. You walk slowly as if your footsteps are wrapped in cloth. Somewhere behind the glass, a piece of papyrus lies flat, dry and warm, smelling faintly of plant fiber and thyme. Ink lines rest on it like calm rivers. No one demands you read them. No one tests you. You are simply near them, and that nearness is soothing. A door at the end of the hallway opens into a darker room. Not frightening, just dim. Like the space behind your eyelids, like the quiet part of a house where everyone is asleep. You step into that dim room, and you feel the difference immediately. The world is quieter here. Even your thoughts slow down because there is less to react to. That is what we have been doing all night. We have been walking your nervous system back to a room where it can finally stop bracing. Now we return to the simplest scene of all, a wide plateau at night. Cool sand, a sky full of patient stars, and somewhere a small camp. No bright fire, only a low glow like a nightlight in an old house. A folded blanket lies on the ground, a jar of water is nearby, a kettle cools, a person sits for a moment, then lies down. Not with drama, not with a final speech, just with the quiet certainty that the day is finished. Let that certainty reach you. The day is finished. You do not have to carry it anymore. If there is anything unresolved, you can place it beside the sealed door we visited. You can imagine that door again. Cool stone, pale mortar, a boundary made of care. And you can choose, gently, to leave it undisturbed until morning. Not forever, just until morning. Exhale, and let the door remain closed. Inhale and feel how the body relaxes when it understands it does not have to open anything tonight. Now let the story offer you another gentle companion. Water. Not rushing water, not loud water, just water as patience. Imagine the Nile at night, dark silk under stars, a slow current that does not panic, a river that has carried countless reflections and never tried to hold them. It receives the moonlight and then lets it go. It receives the shadow of reeds and then lets it go. It receives a small ripple and then smooths again. Your mind can be like that. It can receive a thought and then let it go. Receive and let go. Receive and let go. Inhale, receive. Exhale, let go. Now let the story become even smaller. Let it become a lullaby made of 3 simple images: sand, light, breath. Sand covering footprints, smoothing edges, light, small and warm, never harsh. Breath, steady and slow, returning you to the present. Sand, light, breath. Sand, light, breath. If you like, you can let those 3 words become a quiet refrain, as if you are hearing them from far away, like a voice down a long hallway. Sand, light, breath. And if you want something even simpler, you can let it become 1 word: rest. Not as a command, as a permission. Rest. Now imagine the green corridor again, but at night. The leaves barely move. The shade is no longer needed for heat, but it still feels protective, like a hallway of safety. Somewhere, a jar of water sits under cloth, cool and quiet. If you listen, you can almost hear nothing at all, just the faintest whisper of air passing through leaf and branch. That whisper is enough. It tells the body you are sheltered. Now imagine the white pyramid again, not in full detail, only as a soft triangle of pale light. It reflects the sky the way a calm mind reflects the day without grabbing it. No struggle, no argument, just reflection. And then imagine the Sphinx again, facing the horizon. It does not demand dawn. It simply watches, steady and patient. And that steadiness can be yours for the night. Inhale, calm. Exhale, longer. Now let the images blur slightly at the edges the way they do in the moments before sleep. The pyramid fades into the night. The Sphinx fades into the horizon. The corridors fade into memory. Even the stars soften as if someone has gently lowered the focus. What remains is sensation, the weight of your body on the bed, the warmth of your blanket, the coolness of air at your nostrils, the slow rise and fall of your chest. Nothing else is required. And if your mind tries to check itself, am I relaxed yet? Am I falling asleep yet? You can answer with kindness. You don't need to monitor the night. The night already knows how to hold you. Imagine the desert working outside your window. Grain by grain, it smooths the surface of the world. It does not hurry. It does not measure progress. It simply continues patiently until everything feels even again. You can do the same. Place one hand where you feel your breath, on your chest, or on your belly, wherever is comfortable. Feel the warmth of your skin. Feel the small rise and the small fall. That is enough without needing to be perfect. That is enough proof. Here, no one rests alone. Other listeners are breathing with you tonight in other rooms under other skies, all choosing the same soft thing, rest. If you notice tightness anywhere, you can soften it by giving it space, not pushing it away, just giving it room to loosen. Forehead smooth, eyes heavy, jaw relaxed, shoulders dropping, hands warm and still, legs settling. And if it helps, we can let the breath count itself down again, but even more gently, like a whisper that does not need to be finished. 5. Inhale. 4. Exhale. 3. The shoulders soften. 2. The eyelids lower. 1. And everything becomes quieter. Now the lamp's flame is very low. It makes more shadow than light. And that is perfect, because sleep likes shadow. In the final part of tonight's journey, we will let the lamp fade into darkness completely, not with suddenness, but with kindness. We will return to the desert's blanket one last time, and we will let the story become almost nothing, just wind, breath, and quiet. For now, stay here, in this in-between place, not fully awake, not fully asleep, just drifting. Sand, light, breath, rest. The desert has only one rule: it does not rush. And when you listen long enough, when you let your mind sit beside the sand and the stone, you begin to feel that rule inside your own body. Your heartbeat slows to a steadier rhythm. Your breath becomes softer. Your thoughts, even if they still wander, begin to wander more slowly, as if they have finally remembered there is no emergency in this moment. Tonight, we have walked a gentle circle. We began with sand drifting like a thin blanket over old footprints. We descended into lamplight and dust, into corridors where time learned how to whisper. We stood before a sealed door and discovered a different kind of strength, the strength of leaving something undisturbed. We followed shade into a green corridor where water was guided with care. We watched a wooden arm rise and fall like breath. We sat near a guardian of the horizon and let dawn arrive without forcing it. And now the story returns to its beginning again, but quieter, like a lullaby repeating a final refrain with fewer notes. So let the scene become very simple. Imagine the plateau at night. The air is cool, the stars are steady. The sand is smooth where the wind has combed it. Somewhere far away, a lamp is being turned down in a camp. The flame shrinks. The light becomes softer. The shadows become kinder. You can picture the camp the way you might picture a small home at the edge of a wide field, humble, calm, protected. A folded blanket lies on a low cot. A clay cup sits beside it, half full of water that tastes cool and mineral. The kettle has finished its work, and now it rests in the quiet, giving off a faint warmth like a sleeping animal. A person in the camp moves slowly, no hurry in their hands. They tuck a loose corner of cloth. They check the latch once, gently, and then they stop. The last task is done. There is nothing more to prepare. And when they lie down, they do not fall as if collapsing. They settle as if they belong. And you, listening from your own room, can do the same without doing anything at all, because the night is already turning itself down around you. If you want, take one slow breath in and let it out gently. Not like a sigh of effort, like a soft release, as if you are setting something down. Now imagine the sealed door one last time, not as a barrier, as a quiet promise. The mortar line is pale. The stone around it is cool and calm. The door is not calling you to open it. It is simply saying, rest is protected here. So on your next exhale, let your mind choose one thing it will not open tonight. One worry, one question, one unfinished loop. You do not have to name it. You do not have to solve it. You can simply let it stay behind that door, safe and undisturbed. Exhale and let the door remain closed. Inhale and feel the relief of not reaching. If your thoughts come back anyway, that is okay. Thoughts are like sand in wind. Sometimes they lift, sometimes they settle. You don't need to stop them. You only need to let them pass. And as they pass, you can return again and again to the simplest anchor. Breath. In and out. In a little and out a little longer. Now the story's images begin to fade at the edges, the way dreams soften before sleep. The white pyramid becomes a pale triangle somewhere in the distance. Beautiful, but not demanding your attention. Its smooth face catches a last trace of moonlight like a quiet mirror. At its peak, you can imagine a tiny point of brightness, a small, gentle dot. Nothing sharp, only a reminder that light can be soft. The Sphinx becomes an outline against a horizon you no longer need to watch. The green corridor becomes only a cool memory of shade on your skin, a whisper of leaves that once sheltered your thoughts. The underground galleries become a warm echo of lamplight and quiet steps. And all that remains is the feeling of being held by the night, held by the bed beneath you, held by a steady rhythm that does not require effort. If you like, let your attention travel slowly through your body as if it is a lamp moving gently through a quiet corridor, warm, steady, never harsh. Forehead soft, eyes heavy, cheek relaxed, jaw unclenched, neck released, shoulders dropping as if they finally trust the night, arms warm and still, hands loosening, no longer gripping the day, chest moving gently with breath, belly rising and falling, calm and natural, hips sinking into support, legs heavy, resting, feet quiet, finished with walking. Nothing needs to be different, nothing needs to be perfect. This is enough. Now imagine the desert doing what it has always done, covering the world evenly. Sand moves like a slow tide. It does not judge which footprints are important. It does not replay which steps were mistakes. It simply covers, smooths, protects. And in that image, there is a soft forgiveness. Whatever today was, it is allowed to be over. Whatever you carried, you are allowed to set it down. Whatever you didn't finish, you are allowed to leave for tomorrow. Tomorrow can take its turn. Tonight is for rest. Think of the river too, the Nile at night, dark and steady, receiving reflections and letting them go. The river never tries to keep the moonlight. It accepts it, then releases it downstream. In the same way, your mind can accept a thought and then release it. A thought arrives and then leaves. Nothing needs to be held tightly. Inhale, receive. Exhale, let go. If tonight's story brought you calm, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself. Just one word. Safe. Slow. Quiet. Shade. Rest. Because sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to witness your own effort with tenderness. And if you are listening from a place that feels far away, another state, another country, another time zone, remember this. Here, no one rests alone. Every listener is a small lantern in the dark. Every quiet breath adds warmth to this corner of the night. Now let the story become even softer, almost like silence with a faint thread of voice. Imagine the wind again, not loud wind, not restless, just a thin moving air that passes over sand and disappears. Imagine the sound you chose earlier, footsteps, linen or silence. Let it return for a moment, but quieter now. If you chose footsteps, let them be so soft they feel like a heartbeat. If you chose linen, let it be so gentle it feels like a page turning far away. If you chose silence, let it be wide, held, comforting, and then let even that fade. Because sleep does not need a soundtrack. Sleep only needs permission. So give yourself that permission now. You can stop reviewing. You can stop preparing. You can stop fixing. You can simply be. One more slow breath in and a longer breath out. If it helps, you can imagine the lamp finally being covered, like a hand cupping the flame, letting it dim without suddenness. The light becomes a small ember, then a smaller ember, then only warmth. And the darkness that remains is not empty. It is the safe darkness behind your eyelids. It is the darkness that holds dreams. Tonight, let your mind become a quiet gallery. Let your worries become sealed rooms. Let your breath become the only procession, slow, steady, sacred. Inhale and exhale. And when sleep comes, whether quickly or slowly, let it come the way dawn comes to the horizon the Sphinx has watched for so long, without force, without struggle, in its own patient time. If you notice any small tension still lingering behind the eyes, at the base of the throat, in the ribs, imagine it the way you would imagine dust in lamplight. You don't need to sweep it away with force. You only need to let it settle naturally. Give it a few slow breaths and it will begin to sink on its own, like sand sinking into stillness. And if your mind wants one last gentle picture to rest inside, you can return to the museum corridor from the beginning of the night. The building is closed, the hall is empty. A soft yellow light rests on the floor like warm honey. Behind glass, a piece of papyrus lies flat, and the ink lines are calm, like tiny rivers that never hurry. Somewhere in that ink, someone once tried to do what you are doing now. Make sense of a world, find a little order, keep a little peace. And even if their words are no longer fully readable, the intention remains. A human wish to be held by something steady. You can let that intention hold you. Not as a thought you must analyze, only as a feeling. The feeling that you belong to a long, quiet line of people who have needed rest, who have needed shelter, who have needed a soft voice at the end of the day. So let the night be your shelter now. Let your breath be your small, steady lamp. Let the sand cover the sharp edges. Let tomorrow wait at the horizon, patient and far away. Inhale softly, exhale, and drift. Before we fully drift away, one last gentle reminder. If you'd like more peaceful nighttime journeys like this, remember to subscribe to Ancient Sleep Story. And if you're able, leave a soft comment where you're listening from tonight, or a single word you want to carry into sleep. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now the story steps back. The desert smooths the sand, the lamp lowers. The sealed door stays closed, safe and undisturbed.
Our story pauses here. Every visual and word you've experienced was assisted by AI, yet guided and perfected by sincere human emotion. We hope this harmony of history and technology has crafted a beautiful dream for you tonight. Let go and drift deep into sleep. Good night.